This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon everybody. Welcome to the very warm day here at Djuma Private Game Reserve this afternoon. As you can see, also Giraffe, they're right in the shade, hoping for a cooling off. And welcome aboard to your very own safari through the African bush. Good day, good afternoon everybody again here at Djuma Private Game Reserve, where we welcome you in this very warm weather again this afternoon, sitting with a giraffe, a male bull giraffe sitting there in the beautiful shade, which it means we're not alone, we're not burning out here alone. And it's just only one, looks like at the moment. My name is Andrew. On camera, I have Simon this afternoon. It was actually a nice route that we have decided to take to look for wild dogs around here. You know, we bump on giraffe. Indeed, it's very rise and it's very shiny, hot day, sitting at a temperature of 31 degrees 88 Fahrenheit. Which that push so much pressure on animals to be in the shade and not to like to move too much because of that heat. And remember, we're coming to you live from this location this afternoon. We like to hear from you, taking questions, answering questions, hearing the comments from you. If you can register us on the WildEarth website, head over to the live safari page and you can submit your questions and comment there. So he probably been there for long. As you can see how he always trying to change position. Now he's looking in the far south where he was looking in the west and the east. Giraffe, whether it's a male or a female, they're more likely to be sometimes alone, but also in a group. And they are not territorial animals. So male levels or move up to about. Rosalind, so you're asking if giraffe, they're endangered in South Africa. Not that I know or aware of. And then if it's so, then I also don't know why would they be in danger. I'm not sure if they're hunted for any reason or poached for any reason. But if then they hunted, it's probably maybe for skin, I suppose. But I think there is no other benefit there of this animal. And wherever the number go lower down for a giraffe, it's due to their habitations where there is probably an open land, grassland, not much of trees that they can feed on, that they can reduce in number or not be in the area like that. Quite a few of our oxpecker around him. Right, so you're asking what does giraffe eat for proteins? They're mainly seen go down. They're put down on the ground. That's when they have to pick up their bones. Yeah, they can chew bone for their special diet. Protein is kind of calcium they need. But then all plants out here where it's most thorny bushes. And this is more sustainable trees out here for them. They rely on. To get their protein stable on their body. Wherever it's a giraffe, it's got to be a lot of thorn species of trees mainly around. And then there where he is right now, he's sitting underneath of the marula tree. So I'm going to search around here. I'm going to search, trekking for the wild dog. If I come across their tracks, I'm actually going to stick with these tracks. In the meantime, I'm going to be sending you across to Lauren to say hi to everybody.
Good luck, Andrew. They're definitely in that block. It's the Pungwe pack, and their collar has pinged, so they're there somewhere. But of course, in this heat, most of the animals are going to be resting and trying to seek some shade. We haven't managed to be successful at that, but my name is Lauren. I do have Davy on camera, and the woodland kingfishers have just been displaying. There's 3 of them, which makes me think it could be males, and not only are they hot, so their gular fluttering. Not only were they calling, but they were also displaying. Now, with the wings dropped open like that, that's just them trying to cool down. It's when they open their wings completely, sort of horizontally, that's when they're displaying to one another. But it's all got rather quiet. I'm probably exhausted. That's to cool down. To try and let the air pass through. It's a tiny, tiny little bit of a breeze. And that's exactly what that individual's doing, trying to let the breeze run through him, rather than keeping his wings tight to his chest, which will only sort of generate more body heat. If you open them, you're letting the air flow through. You can aerate your feathers and try and draw some heat away from your body. You can also dunk in the dam. So you can't see it, but he'll be moving that little sort of gular flap in his throat. And that's why we call it gular fluttering. And essentially what that's doing is just pumping air in and out of the mouth, just like panting. Just like when we see the cats and they're panting, it's exactly the same thing. They're trying to lose heat through evaporative cooling of their mouth. Oh! And have a bath. And now you're wet. That must feel so good. Just dunking in the water and coming back out again. LJ, you can't. I have no idea if this is a male or female. You would only be able to tell during the mating, really. The sexies are very, very... Oh, another bath. The sexies are very, very alike. And I'm definitely not able to tell the difference between the two. But you will often sometimes see the males sort of, oh, wow, we're loving this. We're having the best time dunking into Gowrie Dam. When you see the males displaying, of course, when they're putting on that sort of competitive streak to try and, well, get rid of other males so that you can have all the females, then of course you can identify the behaviour as being male. But I think they've both got too hot. Oh! Oh, what a great start to a hot drive. But for now, we're going to send you across to Yappy to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome to andBeyond Ngala, where this afternoon we are looking at muddy elephants. Right there where those two elephants are busy, you can see there's one laying down right in the middle of them, and at the back you see the one kicking the mud, loosening it up. Now it's extremely hot here on Ngala this afternoon, and these elephants are enjoying the benefits of a forested section. Now, myself, I'm Yappy, and behind the camera we've got BK. And we set out this afternoon to see if we can find some lions, but with the weather at the moment, I don't think it's the best of choice. So what we'll do is we'll try and go look for something that might take us to the shade, like any signs of leopard and elephants. Just have a look at that. That baby's trying to cover himself completely with... Oh, there's two actually. Shame, the little ones are usually the ones that suffer the most in the heat. Skin's not quite as tough as the adults. You can actually see it with the texture. Once the skin's wet, you can see the reflection of it, and you can see the roughness of the larger elephant skin compared to that little one. Now, although it is a little bit awkward getting out, and they do slip on the edges of these pools which get worn down. Look at that one. And they always try to make it a little bit harder for the other ones. Definitely looks like they are having some fun. And what I can see from the large ones, it looks like from that one's covering herself with mud, throwing some mud on the belly. But the way they're standing and the fact that they're just looking like they're waiting, I think they actually are waiting for those little ones to get their fill in the mud. You can see the ears flapping, but but there is a breeze that's just picked up, so it's leaving it open a little bit in a scratch. Sinek, what is the population of elephants at Ngala? It is impossible to say, really. Ngala operates with an open fence system, which means that there's no fences separating the boundaries of Ngala from the nearby protected areas, which makes it amazing. It's also large animals like elephants, buffalo. They move constantly and they roam over a very, very large area, which means that Ngala is only a part of the area that this herd of elephants will move in to look for food and water. And if it's males, herds to mate with females. So it changes. Some days we don't really see elephants at all, only a couple of bulls here and there. Some days there's a lot of herds everywhere. It also depends on the season. At the moment we've got quite a lot of herds moving around this riverbed area. And we always see elephants we've never seen before. And it's actually quite hard to recognize most individuals here because they come and go. So even though we have traversing boundaries, we as people, for the animals, there's no boundaries. You can see that female's moving off and her young one's following in suit. That little one's looking almost reluctant to get up. You can see it's a little bit confused, probably not too sure where the mother went. And I think the fact that it's cooled down has also given it a little bit more energy. Now, I'm only seeing a couple of elephants here, or 3 or 4, but I'm sure this is a much larger herd. Because of the heat at the moment, they're probably spread out in the shade. Some of them might be standing still. That's why we're not getting a clear indication of what the herd size is. Now, judging from the age of that cow's calf, which have moved off to the right, as well as the size of her belly or her sides, I suspect that she might be pregnant. But I think we might leave these elephants to enjoy the shade on the riverbank here, and we might move on.
Now, since there's not that many dams in Djuma, I think a good call for today is to head into Buffelshoek. Cross this boundary that's about to come up, head north and check all the dams there. I would love an elephant pool party. But we already checked Gowrie Dam, nothing. Andrew's checking Chi House, so I think, well, let's go north and see what we can find up there. Maybe there will be some elephants thirsty, or doing exactly what that woodland kingfisher was doing and dive bombing into the water. It's such a great relief for all the organisms out here. Water, the liquid of life. But there's only certain areas, of course, where you will find that, so you may as well go to the big dams. And I imagine one of us will check on Tungana later, but right now he will be extremely flat. And there we have it. I am just going to let the world know that we did that. WildEarth crossed into Buffelshoek. And let's go to our first dam. And Buffelshoek is a large property all at once, so I think bouncing along in the middle is a good place to start. Okay, wish me luck for heading round the dams, and hopefully we will get lucky with our elephants.
So here what we got a water monitor lizard that is actually basking there in one of the, actually it's a log where some of the places the shadow is already going into that. As you can see, it's trying to move around. And these species of water monitor lizards, they're always near water or in the water, rivers. But it's so much coverage there, it's so much of a wood, where usually they get hunted by big bird of prey, which is that martial eagle out here. We're able to prey on any of these type of lizard or rock monitor lizard. And they're so well camouflaged to that log. You can actually also see these external ears. And their eyes slightly open just for observe around. For a safety. Right, so you're asking how long is this monitor lizard? We're looking at the young one, it's not actually fully growing. So would be just under a meter, where usually they go 1.3 meters, sometimes longer when they're fully growing. It's thinking of going. So they hunt frogs, fishes, worms around the edge of these ponds around here. Most of lizard, monitor water lizards in South Africa, mainly they are protected for their skin, and they will be hunted for their skin due to the ritual, spiritual, and Sangoma traditional healers. Oops. So you're asking what the monitor lizard rely on most. I don't know if you mean for safety or food wise, But then they rely on sense of smell most of the time when they hunt. They hunt like snakes does, where they always stick their tongue almost like a snake. And there are reptiles. They are reptiles where they are type of crocodile, they're type of any of the small skink lizards and things like that. And you would think of Komodo dragon out there. And when they hunt, it's the same technique. The only difference is they don't have bacteria, these guys here. So sight is cool, but sometimes they mainly freeze if there's a danger. So they rely on camouflage. Nexus. So you say the camouflage, it's amazing. Indeed it is. We almost didn't know what it was. I thought it was just a wood when we just drove past here. And it was actually slightly moving a bit. That's why we knew that there's actually something there. I think it's gonna go. This time it's a lot of frogs, nesting frogs, these forminous frogs, Blentana type of frogs, river frogs. So it just turned around, following a little bit of that open perch for a worm. But they can hunt also during the day and late at night in a full moon. You see they can swim around the water, but they have to stay alert for any of other crocodiles in the rivers and these dams. So they can also be a food for somebody else, for other reptiles, such as Tortoise. So they pretty much, if it's ever a different pattern, then it will be pretty much the same as most of the snake I refer to. That's puff adder. Sometimes when you look at these patterns, not all look the same, but mainly, they similar. So they don't have a big spot, only this little dot, and there's like a band along the tail. So they all look like that. But then a difference from a land monitor lizard or rock monitor lizard then, because those are more even gray. So if it's any frogs around here that is moving about, There will be hunters. Birds that cannot help themselves fly or move, they will be eaten. As you can see underneath there's a former-nest frog nest. There's no frog that I can see right now. So yeah, I'm gonna continue my journey here, check around for possibly a dog. I'm gonna be sending you across to Yapi.
So we are on the road right next to the river, and after the rains we can see that this road's still pretty wet, and there's a lot of seasonal pans at the moment with so much small little creatures moving about. But we haven't driven this road for the past couple of days to give it time to dry out, and we don't really know what's been moving here over the last couple of days, so this is where we're hoping to pick up on any signs of leopard. But it seems like the creatures here are all moving out of the way as soon as we approach. Now, this is also near the area that the lions have been denning, and because of that, I think that generally the general game has moved out of the area because they know that the lions nearby, except for the elephants. And I'm hoping that when we get up ahead, we're going to get to a very large crossing in the riverbed, and I'm hoping that we might get to see something there. Now, animals, even the leopard, has specific pathways that they use on a number of occasions when they move between different areas within their territory. And the best thing about this area is all the mud pools around at the moment, and because of that, it would be the perfect spot for buffalo bulls, especially on a warm day like today. They would need to cover their skin in mud for protection against the sun, as well as to cool down. And talking about those little seasonal pans, here we've got one right next to the road. And you can see the grasses are really, really tall because there's lots of water. But these grasses wouldn't be too good to eat for animals, so we don't really find that the animals eat them. They're more used as cover and a place to hide for smaller creatures. Something. I was hoping that we might at least see some tracks of anything that came down to come and have a drink, or maybe some water birds. But nothing at the moment. The best place to have a look for the animals at this point is to have a look in the shade around these areas, see if there might be something. Like a female leopard, she would be able to hide perfectly amongst the shade of these trees without us even seeing her. And then just laying there quietly watching everything coming down. And strike when she gets the opportunity. Oh, what a beautiful day indeed. The best thing about these riverbeds are the large trees. I like that one that we find all along the banks. It looks like a really large bushveld albizia or a false thorn. The reason for that is it looks like an acacia tree or a former acacia tree with thorns, but it actually doesn't have any thorns on it. And it's amazing for this tree to be able to reach a size like that. Yeah, I think we will have a look and send you over to Pridelands for the intro.
Welcome to andBeyond Phinda. We've come down onto the floodplain. It's a beautiful hot day. There's a bit of wind keeping us cool. And we found a herd of waterbuck. And I actually think that the last time I was on WildEarth, we came to the same spot and found this exact same herd of waterbuck. They obviously quite like the spot. There's a watering hole behind us, so that may explain it. Lots of nice green grass. I'm Kim, and behind camera we've got OD. And yeah, we came looking for cheetah and lion, and we found neither. But we did find these guys, which is definitely not a downgrade at all. Waterbuck are awesome. Look how cool that follow me sign is on their bum. You know, it's what they're very well known for, that perfectly stark white and round mark on their bum. The reason that is called a follow me sign is that it helps them follow one another. Lots of herd animals will have similar markings on their rumps, and their safety mechanism is staying in a herd. So if they split up, they become very vulnerable. So to stay in the herd, they watch one another's rumps and they manage to stick together, and that's how they keep safe. As soon as one splits up from the herd, then they become vulnerable and obviously become the target of whatever predator may be hunting them. It's also the predator's goal to split the herd up, because that makes it easier for them to zone in on one and focus on one animal to take down. It's quite beautiful, those, what's it, like 4 or 3, all just looking in the opposite direction with their bums facing us and then their big ears facing the other way. You see that none of them are feeding, and like I mentioned earlier, it is quite windy, so they've obviously all got their senses on alert just because of how dulled their hearing will be because of the wind, and also their smell. Obviously the swirling wind will be carrying smells from all different directions and may confuse them a bit. They won't quite know where certain smells or sounds are coming from. They seemed a little bit more relaxed when we first arrived, but I think that the noise from the vehicle might have just kind of allowed them to decide to be a bit more alert again. Another thing you'll notice about this herd, and it's very similar to that of a herd of Impala, is that there's just one male. That's the one with the horns, and he'll be the dominant male over this group. You can also notice that they're a very shaggy looking antelope. And yeah, that shagginess is just, they're called waterbuck because they're often around water. They do swim through water. Apparently that fur is quite thick and has quite a lot of oil that comes out of glands on their body, and allows the fur to kind of trap air and keeps them quite buoyant. I have to say I've never seen this happening, it's just what I've read. And that is apparently why they are as shaggy as they are. It's quite interesting because in the African heat, most animals have very sleek coats, not shaggy like this. This is kind of the one that's got a very shaggy coat like you see here. It is quite interesting that they've been in the exact same place as they were a couple of weeks ago. Jacob, we were actually just chatting about that as we drove in here. I think that lions is probably one animal that will prey on waterbuck because waterbuck, obviously, you can see they're quite big. I think that they would be a little bit too big for a leopard. But we were also just discussing about how they apparently have this gland that secretes a very distasteful or quite a not very good tasting hormone or fluid into their bloodstream that makes them not taste good at all. And I think that quite a lot of animals seem to know that. I think they also don't smell very good. I think that same gland allows them to let off quite a nasty smell, which makes them not a favorite option for most predators. But having said that, most predators are also opportunistic, and if they came across a waterbuck maybe, and it was a very easy opportunity, I do not doubt that they would try it out. I have actually seen leopard eating waterbuck before, but I know that it didn't kill it. It was a male waterbuck that we think was killed possibly in the fight with another male waterbuck. It seemed to have kind of like stab wounds in its around its ribs. And the leopard was eating it. So it is quite interesting. Again, speculation. It's what I've read and heard about them not tasting good. But it is the wild and animals have to survive. I also do know that animals like leopard and lion have very, very few taste buds. Much, much fewer than humans, at least, that allows them to eat really, really rancid meat. So that gland must be, something that really plays on those few taste buds to make them decide not to eat a waterbuck. You see the male started to calm down. He's starting to feed, and the wind is actually dying a little bit. Picking up again. Kind of getting these gusts of wind. But there's some really beautiful birds around here as well. There are some European bee-eaters flying around, and also some look like collared pratincoles. I think there are quite a lot of insects out on the floodplain this morning after there's been quite a bit of rain, and obviously all the grass is kind of re-energized and lots of new growth, which the insects quite enjoy, and then as a result of that, the birds also enjoy and take advantage of. We've also just gone through a little kind of patch of milkweed, and there's a really beautiful butterfly, which I'm sure lots of people know, the African monarch. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to move over to that patch of milkweed and see if we can get some of those butterflies.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a WildEarth explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
My name is James Hendry, and I work here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi sands on the western fringes of the Greater Kruger National Park. My favorite part of getting questions from viewers is that we get to have long and varied discussions about all sorts of different aspects of nature. Because our audience comes from all over the world, it's very special to have different perspectives from everywhere. If you want to submit a question on WildEarth, you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to the Live Safari page and submit your question beneath the live feed.
Hello everyone, my name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide, and most importantly the questions that you ask, give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth. Have you been watching WildEarth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. WildEarth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live WildEarth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, everyone. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Yes, I think it's very fresh, though. I'm going to put my shadows over it. So we're looking at a tortoise. So the trail that you see here. It looks like it came all the way across the road. And then the reason I'm saying it's fresh is because this is actually a main road where access in and out of the reserve here, where we're checking for these possible wild dog tracks. And I believe they actually smoothed the road today where it's easy to tell if it's anything on top of this ground. But now this, young tortoise make its way down across towards our vehicle there. So the reason is that, it's quite easy to tell. So every time the animal will move, it's always shift the soil or sand. So scoop the sand over and over towards on front where that animal was going. But that actually does by many of the animals, such as or human as well. So you can track human, you can track lions, you can track rhino, elephants by checking on their foot structure. And you can always see where the back pad or the back angle of their track's going. Sorry.
Okay, cool, thanks about that.
So that tortoise could be long gone, maybe far away now. But it was actually midday. I can't tell when or time, but I think it was just a midday because then I think it was the only one that drove on top right now in the reverse back, and I realized this is quite a new, fresh tracks, but I cannot see it, or I'm trying to listen to see if I can hear it move through grasses. But then it's long gone. So we're going to continue down along this main road to check if there is anything there for us. Tortoise, they eat grasses, so they're vegetarian. And land tortoises, where that could be maybe leopard tortoises, and those that eat grasses most, plants, flowers, mushrooms, and they don't eat meat at all. Kenan, so you're asking which other condition that can destroy the animal tracks. So windy day, that also can destroy the animal tracks. So wind blows, blow ground, where sand, dust come out, and they can actually pour into a very fresh tracks, which then always going to look older in that way. Or then, if it's an other interaction there with other small birds that was moving on top of those tracks. So this is how you can tell, well, maybe it's not fresh at all. Many animals, though, use roads quite often to access to the water if there is a game path. But such as a main road like this, you know, they would come across from the south where there's a little Gari property to Djuma in and out. So due to the feeding, some maintaining their own territory, these antelope, because some antelope out here where they are territorial. So I'm gonna roll down, still checking whether there's possible tracks of wild dogs. If there's a chance we see the tracks, we can stick with the tracks. In the meantime, let me send you over to Lauren.
Oh, good luck, Andrew. That is not going to be an easy task right now. They're definitely in there. The alpha female wears a GPS collar that pings every 12 hours. So we can get updates, but they're not in real time, if you like. You don't get updates. You can't just log on right now and see where they are. But they definitely went into that drainage this morning, which suggests they're still there due to the heat. So I may go around and help Andrew a little bit later once it gets cooler. I'm just making the most of this small patch of shade here and trying to see if we can find an insect. There's a dragonfly right there. 3 o'clock. Voila! Just like that, my favorite insect. One of the most remarkable organisms. I was actually looking for a butterfly, but hey ho, I'm not going to complain that we get a dragonfly. Apart from size, their actual biology has remained remarkably unchanged throughout evolution. Same as sharks. And when you look at species who have really not changed much, yes, they will have evolved to sort of meet environmental changes and sort of habitat specializations. But otherwise, when the anatomy and the general layout of an organism doesn't change so much over time, that tells you that they're incredibly successful at what they do immediately, just like sharks. They've rarely changed. Dragonflies have gotten smaller, but they're about 300 million years old. Obviously not this individual. I mean, the entire group of species dragonflies are around 300 million years old. They're not like Lepidoptera, your butterflies and your moths that start from eggs and then go to a sort of caterpillar stage and then the pupal stage and then the adult. It's slightly different. Dragonflies generally shed about 17 times through continuous molting, if you like, before they reach their adult form. So it's through shedding from the nymph stage rather than a butterfly that undergoes a transformation when they build their chrysalis. So there's a very different life cycle from your moths and butterflies. And when they first hatch from their eggs, they're aquatic. They're aquatic organisms. The nymph stage, they live underwater. The dragonfly makes it look like it's windy. I can assure you it's not. The air is remarkably still. So they can live in the water anywhere between 1 to 6 years. That's the longest part of their life cycle. It's the actual adult phase itself, what you're looking at right now. This is the adult phase that lives for a very short time. And as with most insects, the adult phase is to reproduce, reproduce, and reproduce. So it goes from extracting oxygen underwater with gill-like appendage to breathing air. David, absolutely they will. And they're very good at it too, because chameleons just sort of lie in wait. They're ambush predators, believe it or not. So they don't run after their prey like lions or leopards, but they're camouflage. They don't need to change colour to be camouflage. Chameleons are camouflage. That green colour, they blend in with most of the trees that have the big green leaves, like an apple leaf, for example. And they'll just position themselves on the branch, and they'll just wait until a dragonfly comes along just like this, and they'll dart out their tongue faster than lightning. And the tongue is incredibly sticky and incredibly powerful. Before you know it, it's back in the mouth with a delicious treat. So yes, David, they do hunt dragonflies. And what I'd love to see, they call it starts as a nymph, and then as it starts to molt, it molts 17 times, remember. You actually call it the odonate, becomes the odonate. And it does its final molt on land. And what it does, it just leaves the water behind. It's fully ready to be terrestrial. It leaves the aquatic life behind. It's gone through the final transformation, and it finds a perch just like this one. And it does one final molting through wriggling and all sorts of contortion to get rid of the last sort of exoskeleton of being an odonate, and it transforms into the adult dragonfly. And I'd really love to see that. 17 times is a lot of molting. That's a lot of changing and a lot of growing for an insect. But the adults may only live for a few weeks. I think the longest one species can live is a year. But either way, in comparison to mammals, it's a short life cycle. It's actually incredible we get them to stay for so long, so still. They do fly off and then they always land in the exact same spot again. And what's quite unusual among the insect category is that each wing has separate muscles and can be moved independently. Curious mind, they both belong to the same group, which is called Odonata. But if you look very, very closely, you will see that there's similarities. And the similarities will lie in the eyes. So if you look at this dragonfly right now, you'll see that they have huge sort of goggle-shaped eyes, and they join in the middle. Now, when you look at a damselfly, they won't join in the middle. There'll be a gap, and there'll be more on the side of the head. The eyes will be smaller as well. A shape of the body is a good thing to look at. Dragonflies have very short, chubby bodies, short, fat bodies, whereas damselflies have very long, slimline bodies. That's another really key feature to look at. And one of the more obvious ones is probably the wings. So with a dragonfly, the forewings and the hind wings are actually unequal in size. It's very difficult to actually tell from this dragonfly's position, but they're not equal. The hind wings are normally broader, whereas with the damselfly, the wings are completely equal in size. So those are the sort of three main pointers to look at, but they are closely related and they do belong to the same group. It's easy to get confused. Sometimes you've just got to look a little bit closely and look at those key features, and then you'll say, aha, I'm looking at a damsel, or I'm looking at a dragonfly. Dayton, they do, don't they? And they probably will be. Those scales. If we were to touch them, we could be some damage, and yet they're powered by muscles. And, wow, they propel this insect through the air. But they do look very, very delicate and paper thin. And they can move completely independently, which is unusual for insects, but separate sort of muscle groups that control each wing. So I don't just mean the two sets, the forewing and the hindwing. I mean every single wing can move independently, which allows them to fly forward, to fly backwards, and hover. They have remarkable flying abilities. Cello. I am trying to think if I have a diagram to show you this, but if you look at the head and you see that huge sort of deep purple circle on either side. It looks like a ski goggles. When you wear ski goggles, and not that I've ever worn them, it makes your eyes look like you've got bug eyes. Those two black things, these huge circles that take up most of the head, that's the eyes. They're compound eyes. They're not single eyes like ours. They're made up of lots and lots, 30,000 actually, pixel-like units. That's the eyes right there. They take up most of the head, and they meet in the middle to give 360-degree vision. I actually think I may have a diagram. Hold on. I do. Would you look at that? So this is obviously not my diagram, it's from a book, but if you just look, you'll see this is a dragonfly, and that huge sort of circular thing right there, that's the eye. Takes up the bulk of the head, and then there's the other one on the other side. So they meet in the middle. And that's how large the eyes are. Incredible, huh? And that's why they're so successful. They're highly visual. They're obviously chemical as well. They have chemoreceptors. But they're able to see. And the brain is able to process everything that it's seeing. And I tried to use an analogy yesterday that if we're in the ocean and you're in a boat and you see another boat in the distance and you want to get to that boat, you will be able to just look at that boat and navigate there without really thinking about it. Without having to process information, you'll just turn the steering wheel and you'll end up at that boat. Easy. We have binocular vision. We just need to focus. Whereas this dragonfly has a 360-degree field of vision and has taken in everything from north, south, east, west, up, down. So how on earth does the brain process what's happening in all of these locations? And what's actually able to happen is that the brain can focus, the eyes, can focus on one single part of that field of vision. So for example, if the dragonfly is looking around and wants to look at the camera on our car, for example, it can see everything, but the eyes are able to home in on just the camera as part of the bigger picture. And that's how we know that dragonflies do have brains. They do have an intelligence because sensory appendages or sensory equipment would not allow for that sort of level of accuracy or processing. And that's how they have a 95% success rate at hunting. Not only do they catch their prey in the air, their prey is also mobile. Their prey is also flying as they are flying. And yet they have remarkable accuracy. And a sensory sort of world would just not compute for that. And that's what shows that they do have a brain. And the brain is prepped, if you like, for super sight. Not just binocular vision like ours. They can also see ultraviolet light, polarized light, lights that we can't even begin to imagine. An entire spectrum of light that is unknown to us without technology, I guess. They say that a dragonfly can see up to about 300 separate images per second. And they can actually interpret every single one of them per second. I don't even know if I can imagine what that even means. 300 separate images per second from their 360-degree field of vision and interpret every single one of them. So what that means is obviously their eyes are looking at the birds in the sky and they understand that's a bird, maybe that's a predator. They're also looking at the tree next door to see if there's any chameleons. They're also looking at the ground to see if there's any food. They're also looking at the branch to see where they're going to land. They're looking at everything, 300 separate images, and they're processing them each second. What kind of brain must you have to be able to compute that? And that's what baffles me. It's unbelievable. So what they call this, when a dragonfly focuses on one picture in the entire field of view, they actually call this selective attention. And it's actually unknown among any other insects at this current point in time. I mean, there's a lot we don't know about insects, but it's called selective attention. It's able to focus in its own visual field. Linda, no, they can't hurt humans. They really can't. They have no sort of venom. They have no equipment to inject venom, even if they had it. And no, they can't hurt humans. They're very gentle insects. But in saying that, I mentioned this morning as well, they used to be much larger. And I would imagine if you lived back in those days, which we didn't, and the skies were filled with ginormous insects, well, possibly they could indirectly hurt you. A 1 meter long dragonfly landing on your head is not going to be pleasant. Okay, I think we'll let this little dragonfly be and bumble on to see what else we can find. So just down here, there is a battalier nest, and I haven't checked on it in quite some time, but the last time I was here, the mother and the father, the monogamous pair, were maintaining the nest. They were adding sticks and they were doing all sorts of construction work and maintenance. So I think we'll just head along there and maybe we'll be able to see if anything is going on inside the nest. It's very high up. It's at an awkward angle, similar to the Wahlbergs. And I'm slightly sad. We know there's a chick in the Wahlbergs nest, but we've not been able to drive the Milwaukee for quite some time. We've not been able to check on it or have a little look of what's going on. It may not even be there any longer. But the battalier one's just up here, and normally the adults are around too. I think I will go and help Andrew a little bit later since Buffelshoek is out. You may have heard me say I'm going into Buffelshoek and then I'm not in Buffelshoek. The mast is down, I'm afraid. So I think I'll work in Djuma and help Andrew with the dogs. They're either going to pop out on one side or the other. Sorry, it's really hard to see in this very harsh sunlight. Alan, that's a very Very broad question. Animals covers a lot of things. I'm not entirely sure where to start with that, but I'm guessing the biggest threat to any species at the current point in time is humans, whether it's directly or indirectly. It's us. We are having an effect on the global oceans. We're having an effect on the insect population, which is rapidly dying out. And it will absolutely cause any ecosystem to crash if we lose more insects. We need them. We need them so much more than you think. We're spraying pesticides and chemicals. We're poisoning vultures who are scavengers. Of course, there's illegal ivory trades for the likes of elephants, poachers dehorn rhino, habitat loss. As many of you may know, or you don't, Davi and I launched a series on WWF platform. Yes, we did. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. WWF on YouTube, and it's all about the Ethiopian wolf. And there's only between 450 to 500 left. They think only 450 adults, and they're based up in two mountain ranges, mainly in Ethiopia, Simeon Mountains and the Bali Mountains. 500 left. How can we have got to the point when there's only 500 left? And the reason this has happened is humans, but indirectly. They're not hunted, they're not shot, they're not killed, they're not taken as trophies or anything like that. But the population's growing, the population's expanding. And to accommodate this growth of people, they're taking away landscape from the wolf. The wolves need this mountain range. They've become very, very specialized in their own habitat over time. They've become too specialized. They're actually victims of their own success, to be honest. And they need this mountain range. And as humans are moving up the mountain range, they're bringing domestic dogs. Ethiopian wolves are unlike wild dogs in that they can interbreed, they can hybridize with domestic dogs. So what's that going to do? It's already threatening the genetic integrity of the wolves. And not only are humans, oh my goodness, look at this tree. I don't know what has happened here. I'm going to continue this story as I just move this log. So not only are they mating, threatening the genetic integrity of the future of the wolves, humans are also taking away land, habitat loss, and of course agriculture. The humans are building, the humans are farming. This is a little bit heavier than it looks. So the wolves are losing everything. They're moving up and up and up the mountain. You will only find them above 3,000, 4,000 meters. So then once the humans go right up to the top, where are they going to go? They can't. Not only do they mate with domestic dogs, but domestic dogs also bring disease. Anthrax, rabies, canine distemper. And that's why the Ethiopian wolf is in so much trouble. But it's not directly humans, it's indirectly. They're not intentionally trying to hurt the wolf, but our presence has. So I've gone on a massive tangent for you there, but I really think that indirectly humans are just... Our presence and our population growth is destroying everything. We overfish. We're wiping everything out of the oceans. Shark fin. 2 years ago, the estimated number of sharks that were killed was 73 million. 73 million in 1 year. My brain is blown. I can't even compute that. But anyway, that's the answer to the question. Now I'm going to try and look for some animals.
Welcome back. In this heat, we've decided to check on a bunch of watering holes, and this is the first one we've come across. We've got a yellow-billed stork. Looks like he's got a feather stuck to the end of his bill after grooming himself. And then to his right is an African spoonbill. He looks like he's just got down onto his knees to have a little bit of a rest. And that spoonbill looks like he's trying to get rid of the feather that's attached to his... He keeps like he shakes his head every now and again. quite funny. Yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's quite funny. Just walk over to the water and dip his bull in it at all. Yeah, he really doesn't know what to do. He kind of keeps lifting his leg up. In between actions. Looks like he wants to kind of probe, but he's, there you go, walking backwards. It's like he's trying to walk away from it. Oh, and a poo. It's kind of like similar situation to when people put socks on their pets and they don't know what to do with themselves. And like flicking their feet around. I think we might move on to another watering hole to find some more yellow-billed storks.
So on our search for the wild dogs, there is no any update. The guys on foot checking around there. Now I have a waterbuck here. Looks like two of them. Another one moved slightly further. A very interesting animal, waterbuck. Males with horn, females no horn. I'm gonna try see if I can get another look at them. Females remain in groups. Also, non-dominant bulls in groups. Don't want to move too much because they kind of like moving around so much. A very fluffy antelope, gray, beautiful coat, slightly dark brown on their legs, close to their hoofs, but white circle on their back. They are always love to be around the watering hole for their special graze around. They eat on reeds and things like that. During the winter, they've been seen also feasting on algae as well from the water, green algae. There's one here on our left-hand side, Simon. This one's actually close and nice, personal. Thought he'd gone away. These are still two young males. And they're more likely to be banded. Malethi, so differentiates from the male and the females is that the female feature no horns and the males are with a horn always with this antelope. And then most of the antelopes that are most around here, except for these wildebeest, which is a kind of slightly bigger antelope, but these one you got a male and a female with their horn. But the kurus, palas, nyalas, bushbucks, and these one as well, there's males always with a horn. And they use them for fight for a dominate. So I'm gonna go over here. Now I'm traveling actually north from Cheetah line just to assist with these tracks. And I'm going to be sending you across to Phinda.
So we've actually decided to stay here at this watering hole because we found quite a curious little bird. It's called a common greenshank, and he's been entertaining us quite a bit with his fishing technique, and I really hope he does it again for you because it's really cool to watch. Looks like he's just checking it out, seeing if there's anything worth going after. I won't describe to you just yet what he does because I'd like for him to show you. Those beautiful long legs and that nice long, very slightly upturned bill, which helps us identify him as a common greenshank. Come on, little guy, show us your hunting techniques. Give him a few more chances. Oh, looks like he got something there. And again, this isn't what he was doing there. Come on. Maybe his first attempt was successful and now he doesn't feel the need to do it again. Looked like quite a lot of effort, his little hunter. Pete, that's a good question. I think that they lay their eggs on the sandy banks around here. Their eggs are quite the same color as the ground and just look like little pebbles. So their kind of defense of their eggs is camouflage, as opposed to lots of materials like the weaver nest, which is obviously lots of grasses and even some feathers and nice leaves on the inside to pad it quite nicely. No, he looks like he's kind of given up on his hunting a little bit. Oh, he's still going. Here we go. So they're known as, or the way they hunt, it's called probing. That's what that long bill is. So he'd be in the kind of probing category of birds, because they use their bill like that to kind of move back and forth and feel for little insects or little frogs and tadpoles that he would then eat. There he goes. See how he walks and moves his head from side to side? No, but he was doing it rather more vigorously earlier. He was like right in the deep water and he was charging around at a rapid rate, and his whole head was actually submerged in the water. He was kind of going along with his head going back and forth, but you could only see his back and tail sticking up in the air as he raced through the water on his long legs. Yeah, maybe he's just look like... Yeah, he's kind of doing it. No, he's behind a lump of mud as well, which isn't helpful. Timmy, I have to say that I'm definitely no expert in aging birds. I don't even know. Let me look. I've got my book open here, so let me find out for you how long they live. But with birds, it's very, very difficult to tell, because as soon as they lose their immature or juvenile plumage, they just have an adult plumage, and then they'll have that plumage for the rest of their lives. So, and plumage is just the way that they look, what the patterns on their feathers and the colors on their feathers. It changes when they're very young to when they become fully grown adults. But yeah, I won't be able to tell you how old I think this bird is, unfortunately. But in terms of how old they grow, let me see. My book doesn't look like it says. Yeah. No, unfortunately, my book doesn't even say how old or how long they live. But like I said, I mean, unless it's in its juvenile or immature plumage, I wouldn't be able to tell you how old it is. Oh, did it just get saw its head going back and forth? Like he was swallowing something down. Looks like he's found something quite interesting in that little puddle there. Some beautiful other little birds. Oh, I think he's swallowed something, and now he's trying to drink water to help him swallow it down. Oh, there's something. He's got something in his bill now. Oh, there you go. Looked like a solid meal. Quite a lot of movement in that puddle that he's going into. Wonder if he isn't going to get something bigger. Where he's walking over to, most likely thing to prey on this bird at this moment would probably be something like a little sparrowhawk or a little goshawk of some kind. It's quite funny. Doves are quite a similar color to a goshawk or a little sparrowhawk, and quite often when they fly into a watering hole, it causes a bit of panic, and lots of the birds that have been sitting around all disperse and fly away thinking that they're about to get attacked. But yeah, that's pretty much what I would say it would prey on this bird. Now, possibly a snake, but I think most likely is a goshawk or a little sparrowhawk. And he's walking us over to the next bird that I was actually going to come on to. So the little one just in front of him is a wood sandpiper. So you see that they're quite similar shapes, and they're very close to one another in the bird book and in their families. But the wood sandpiper is much smaller. It's got a beautiful bright eyebrow and those pretty white spots along his back. Oh, and he's doing his hunting again. Come on. Why does he keep attacking things behind mud? Just do it in the open for us. There he goes. There we go. That's what he was doing earlier. A little scratch. Goodness, he's so entertaining. Look how deep he's putting his head in. Really committed to his... I can't imagine that he can see anything in that muddy water as well. I think it's literally he's just going on feel. Very, very cool bird to watch. This is what's very cool about watering holes as well, is that we stopped for the big bright white bird that you see, and now we've seen a whole bunch of other very cool birds. Emma, I would say that yes, they do, otherwise they wouldn't be able to move them up and down. You have to have muscles to contract and move the tendons and joints. They look like they've got extremely tiny little skinny legs, and how could a muscle ever fit inside there? But they do have little muscles and little tendons inside of their legs that help them to work them up and down. Yeah, he's really getting his head right in there. I wonder if he doesn't, because his legs, he seems to even put his head further down than, his feet. I wonder if he will right down into the mud that he's actually standing on and fish out little things that dwell in the mud. He definitely doesn't use his eyes down there. It's far too muddy. There he goes. Come on, give us a run. There he goes. How funny is that? Oh my gosh. I don't know if he actually is onto something there, or if he just gets all excited about the wide open spaces and just starts galloping around. So that little run around is what I was waiting for him to do, although we did witness him do quite a few other interesting things while we were waiting for him to do that. So lovely just sitting here listening to all the birds calling as well. The weavers are very, very busy in their nests. It's quite... Okay, I think if these guys don't carry on entertaining us, which they are carrying on, but I think we'll send you to Andrew while we sit and decide whether we're going to move on or not.
All right, thanks, Kim. We now have ground birds here, but they're not ground birds. They feed on mostly on ground, grass seeds. And there are, once again, Swanson spare fowls. We're looking at a female without the spurs in the back of their legs. So this is all about hunting methods. Ticks, grass seeds will be taken. Trying to get as much as it can before the sun goes down, because they weren't able to hunt that time. It's going to be dark. So the color of male and the female is almost the same. The only difference is the spurs in their back legs, like a little, very sharpened, spiky pointing backwards. There's a black bellied coral in the background, like a kind of champagne opening bottle. I don't know if you can hear on the background that far in the distances. So that is black cuckoo shrike. Black cuckoo shrike, they're actually migration, but they're also very hard to be seen. And now dark in color bird. And apart from that, it's all working hard. Megan, you're very right. You're right in a point. They are something else you would never forget. Bird life. It's always really cool. Now, we got another visitor just arrived here. As you can see, now we have two different species of a bird. We're looking at, looks like a juvenile. Yes, it's a juvenile lilac breasted roller. Where that actually feed on most insect, grasshoppers, type of worms available. That's bird yawning. Camp to the ground. So, we just gonna move on, search around, possibly we can find, and our dog's still nothing. I'm gonna be sending you now across to Lauren with her giant.
Look who I have found, you will not believe it. Our bull, the one that was in musth. If Davy just shows you his left ear, you see how, that's his right, Davy. The other left, that one. It's all torn, look. It's got quite a unique tear down at the bottom. And then it's really torn as it goes up to the top. And this is a bull we had the other night. He's huge. I know elephants are all huge, but this bull in particular, look how wide his skull is. He's a very old bull. He'll definitely be a gentleman, 100%. He's got very broad ears as well. They're more sort of broader than they are long, if that makes sense. It's quite a unique shape. And he should still be in musth. Musth lasts for quite a long time. It's long, lengthy bouts of musth. And he was dribbling the other day, so I imagine he still will be. Can you see if he is?
Didn't look like it.
I actually can't see anything from the sunlight, but it's quite important that we know these things. No, he doesn't appear to be dribbling. Fascinating. It's definitely the same bull. And when they dribble, they're just leaving their scent for the females, that's all. Yes. Oh, you are dribbling. My goodness, how did I not see that? You're very dribbly. Apologies. Yes, he's definitely in musth. Signal number 1. He's just too handsome. He's also streaming from his temporal glands, which is a sign of musth, absolutely, but it's also a sign of lots of other emotions in elephants, so it's not the only reliable signal to look at when you're looking is an elephant in musth. You see it, it's wet, it's shiny, a new secretion. It's very oily, and that's why it stains their head. And the gland that actually produces this temperament can swell. It really swells and it puts pressure at the side of their head, and that's sometimes another reason why the young boys can be slightly, shall we use the word grumpy? Because they're actually in pain. Like when we ever get sort of pressure in our temples from a headache. It's very similar to that. Now we're on Simbambili, we're going somewhere. I've set myself up on another little mission, fingers crossed. It works. Now the temperament itself actually contains proteins, lipids, phenols. There's a high amount of cholesterol, that's a lipid, but there's a lot of cholesterol in there, and many, many other sort of chemicals. And in Sanskrit, it's actually referred to as the rut fluid. So that makes sense, because the bull's in musth. The rut fluid that secretes from their head. But it's actually not a direct symptom of the rut. It's really not. It's a symptom of emotion in elephants. Females will stream, especially when they're overjoyed to see one another. They'll stream when they're stressed and anxious. So it's actually not a direct symbol of the rut, but in old Sanskrit text, that's what they call it. He's such a lovely bull. Linda. Sorry, Davy just made me laugh there. He's flapping his ears to cool down. That's exactly why they are so large and so thin. You'll be able to see a network of capillaries there. And he's sort of just cooling himself down like an AC unit in this heat. I wish I was able to do that. Now, it's not just, it's wafting air over his back, but that's not what's actually cooling him down. It maybe will assist. You know, when we fan our hands in front of our face, you get a little waft of air. So that will be happening, but that's not the only thing that's happening here. And it's the network of capillaries that you can see here that are highly specialized and help this bull lose heat, up to 75% of heat. The capillaries can actually constrict or dilate and control the blood flow, which assists in thermoregulation. And they constitute around 20% of the elephant's total surface area. And that's exactly why they can lose heat through that sort of extensive vascular system. And on cold days, they're going to hold their ears very close to their body, because they don't want to lose heat, they want to retain heat. But the ears are also, they also express mood and body language. And of course, they function as huge satellite dishes for his hearing. But when he's fanning them like that, he's trying to cool down. So when the blood vessels themselves in the ear actually dilate, That increases the blood flow, of course, because they're opening up, they're not constricting. And it's increasing the amount of blood to the ears and thus increases the cooling. They say that the flappage, the flapping of the ears, can cool an elephant down by about 3 degrees Celsius. So that's what he's doing. He's very happy feasting on this grass and he's keeping himself cool. But male bulls need to drink a lot more water when they're in musth because it is just urine that he's dribbling out there. And because they are losing water that way, they do drink a little bit more than normal when they're in musth. So I imagine at some point this bull is going to pop out at Simbambili Dam. Paul, it does. It depends on the bull's age as well. So normally the bull... Dobby's telling me to reposition. I better reposition. Normally when the bull is around 18 years, give or take, he'll have his first bout of musth, but it'll be a very short one. And he really properly won't come into full musth until around 25 years old, at least, when it sort of normalizes into a cycle. And... Are you okay here? I was just going to go a little bit further forward. And the behaviour does change. It's an increase in testosterone up to about 60%, swollen temporal glands, all sorts of biological things are happening to him. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's not unlike female humans. Hormone changes, puberty, it affects us. It affects our biology, our physiology, and our behaviour. And it's exactly the same. His hormones are changing. He doesn't quite know what to do with it. The young bulls tend to become a little bit aggressive. And they put on a bit of a swagger. You can normally tell a musth swagger. And a bull's in musth. I can smell him now. You smell him, Davy? I love that smell of a musth bull. But yes, normally as they get older and they get to this boy's age, a bit of a gentleman, they understand how to handle their musth a little bit better. They're used to it. They've probably mated with many females. They're living a nomadic life. And they just generally tend to be less aggressive and more of a gentleman. They're just used to it. Their bodies can handle it a lot better. And that's why the young bulls, the young warriors, Askaris, will sort of hang out, if you like, with the older bulls, and he will help teach them how to be. And I imagine this would include some sort of cultural knowledge about being in musth. But you can smell them. You can normally smell a musth bull from very far away. Vivian, I agree. Always a treat to see these extraordinary, magnificent bulls. He will join up with other younger bulls and then he'll leave them again. He won't be completely always alone. He'll join herds, he'll seek females. And I just wish I could sort of really show you the size. I think if I was to stand next to him, his little armpit at the front there, I think my head would not even touch that. He is really big. And just in the background there, in case you're wondering what that is, that's Gowrie Gate. That's the gate to the northern sector of the Sabi Sands. The anti-poaching unit have a base there. That's where we all get checked, in case you wondered what that was. Grass is soft, it doesn't have any impact on the teeth, it's easy to pull out of the ground with your trunk, it's delicious, it's nutritious. What more could you want as an elephant? You don't have to snap branches, you don't have to crunch through branches and sort of hurt your molars. Very little effort is required in summer. Sometimes I get lost watching these bulls. I forget that I'm live. Anyway, I am going to bumble on and wish me luck. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to get to this special sighting for you all.
Jumbo, my name is Isaac Rotich. I come live to you every day from the Mara Triangle in Kenya, East Africa. I think the most underrated animal here where we are is the spotted hyena. And the main reason is people haven't read any literature to fully understand about this super predator.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth. For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique WildEarth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Tortoise Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with WildEarth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all WildEarth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Great, so now we're stopping with a very common antelope here. And also the update about the dogs. They've been found where actually I'm waiting to grab the standby, or I have already grabbed the standby to go there. And then I'm just gonna see if they will be stationary. We're gonna go there. And then of course this is an update, a great update. And Impalas, that seems to be very also so relaxed in this small open area here, unless if this dog ran towards these directions where then they'll be chased. And that's always a very great spot for the Impala to be, in a shade. But we're watching around for any possible approach. And they have a very great sense of smell, hearing, sight. Look, you're asking what is my favorite antelope. I find Impalas has been very much my favorite antelope. I like the most others, but they seems to be the one. The only reason is that they always make sure wherever they are in the group, mainly find them in the group. Where everybody sometimes can be in a group, but for Impala physically, they very much worry about their own safety, always in the open. They help each other look out as the other member feeding when they're more than one. But also they can delay, give birth, and a seasonal breeder. But once upon a time this month of a breeding arrive, which is November, December, then it's still dry. And they can hold their baby slightly longer until the green is available for their baby. Or for themselves to gain nutrition from grasses, then that's how they can produce milk for for their young one. So we're going to carry on getting close to the area, get an update of what is going on with the dogs, or whether they're running into which directions. And let's head off there. Actually, it's been a long trekking for these dogs. But we all had a lot of belief that, we might find them because there's no tracks leading anywhere out of Djuma. So that's why everybody wanted to help around, track for them. Thereon, so you're asking if I know which pack is this, and no, I am not yet. I don't know yet. The radio there is very busy, but I'm sure I'm going to confirm whenever I can, when I get back to the radio. I'll talk to the guys there just before I get there. But I know Sense Packs was also seen, was actually east into Babasuk a few days ago. Could be them, or could be the Pungwe Packs. The hunt by day, so if they're running around, it's not surprising. Maybe they've been lying in a shed in that hot day. And then now it's only time they can move around because it's cooler off a little bit. Robin, so you're asking how many different packs of dogs exist in Djuma. I know we pretty much seen a lot of Pungwe packs. But there's also sense packs as well that I know of. And that are the one that come in and out. But sense packs, they actually hardly to come this way a lot, but they do. So there's two different packs that I know of. So first things, they would go probably drink water in one of these pens, and they'll just gonna carry on with a little bit of the light that is left for them, and actually hunt successfully in the packs, the dogs. Well, there's a giraffe in front of us. Hello. So this could be the male giraffe that we saw earlier. Or could be the different one. He's trying to hide. He looked worried, I'm not sure what's going on. Could be that maybe he's seen something, we're not too sure. And the dog's way far from here. Down in quarantine, so we are just east of Treehouse Dam at the moment, where then it can't be them. Then if it's something that he's seen around here, maybe something else. The light, so you're asking how fast a giraffe can move, or maximum speed. 50 kilometers an hour. Such impressive speed for such a tall animal like that. But yeah, they can make it up to that. It's always safe for giraffe when they run into the open, or mostly where it's grass is sand a lot. They're not good on crossing paved road. More likely to slipper down and die or fall off whoever's behind them, and it's going to be easy killed. He stopped again. And he's looking at us. They have very good sense of smell, sight, hearing as well, so chance of seeing anything come from way off. And then for that, they have to move out of the area for their own safety. So they walk like camela. It's called ambling walk. Difference to most other antelopes or other animals. He's now shaking his head, trying to get rid of a oxpecker, which they always associate with animal. Gaining the axis for food, ticks, and all of that. So I'm gonna go to the radio, find out what's going on with the dogs. In the meantime, I'll be sending you across to Yapi.
So while Andrew's looking at one wild dogs, we actually just picked up on tracks of some of the pack members here as well. And it looks like they've headed down into the riverbed. There's a dry riverbed running on our left-hand side, which we can't see from where we are. This is quite a dense area, but it's characterized by some clearings in between spread out. And the grasses in those clearings, because of the soils that gets deposited there, is very good. So we do find a lot of herds of impalas in these parts. And we're gonna keep heading in the direction that they were heading towards, so that we can see whether we might have some luck with them. By this time of the day, the dogs might be starting to get a little bit more active. I don't think they'll actually be actively hunting at this point, but it is a good time to start looking for them. I also saw tracks of hyenas following in the same direction, which makes me wonder whether... That bird just gave me a fright. Which makes me wonder whether the hyenas haven't been following them, which might also be a little bit of a push for them to try and move out of the area once they start going, actually, so as to not lose prey to the hyenas. But in terms of the temperature, but now it's not the same as it was earlier. That's exactly what these dogs have been waiting for. Buffalo bull.
Sorry, Ngala. Yeah, we still don't know what's going on there with those dogs. Just trying to get a hold of whoever's running that log just to see if there's a space for me now. But definitely we're going to end up going there shortly if there's a space. You know, quarantine is such a big area, but unless if there is something that attracts them too much in terms of the antelope, that they will be about hunting them, where then they have to run all scattered all over. And they're not sometimes easy animal to go after them when they run. It's too wet still some area. Once they disappeared into this one of the river, then we can't cross or drive in there. Results that you're getting stuck sometimes. And it's amazing that they since came in yesterday afternoon and they didn't run across to the south yet and they're still around. Maybe they have an amount of meal that they have eaten. To be able to allow them to lie in their long grasses shed for a long time. Nature lovers, so you're asking if all dogs they have to eat every day. Yes, they do. But depend on what situation. Sometimes they always prefer fresh kills as a very good success in hunting. They're more likely to kill every day or every few hours if there's an on serious hunt. If they would keep killing these small antelope in the big packs like 13, and they would need probably a day, maybe 4 of them, 3 of them. So yeah, every day they need to eat though. But it's cool, so then it goes to waste. When they had enough, they're just gonna chill down and digest until they're hungry again. That's how they go run around and hunt. Cooperate hunt, they hunt together, kill the share, same food together.
Big brother.
And they actually so cool on chasing for long. They don't give up. Even though they don't speed much compared to Impala, but there's a system when they keep up with the prey species until it collapses. And a lot of time, the minute they go to a prey species that is already tired, fell down and easily killed. And some antelope, they have to save their lives by running into the waterhole. Sometimes it can be safe there where there's no crocodile, no hippos. So we close the quarantine right now. I'm gonna take another time again, just before I know what's happening with them, these dogs, and find maybe there's still 3 vehicles and we still can't go in. Just gonna have to wait until there's space. But now, so there's a beautiful flowers here on the ground. Ishmael, so you're asking why this area called quarantine. So a long time ago was an area where they used to capture the game here. But this was a long time ago. And then since then, it's a quarantine area. And it's actually beautiful, opened for most other animals to laugh about, such as impalas and elephants, which is all mixed of marula trees species, and also a lot of terminalia tree species as well. So it's a soft sandy area where those trees mainly grow around in. So I was about to point these flowers here on the ground, but since while we're waiting here, just to see what's happening out there, all of these plants, which you see all over, beautiful flowers that take place in this area. It's called, devilly thorns, but you know, they usually call locally a wild shampoo, where it's easily for watching clothes, hair sometimes, but beautiful flower coming out of that. But specifically for the antelopes love feeding on these plants because it's also helped them during their pregnancy to deliver their baby, because it's very slime. So I'm going to be sending you across to Lauren at the moment. Alright, so we're just gonna drive. Looks like a stall 3 vehicle there, and gonna avoid the area. Take another route. Looks like a hyena away distance, but I'm gonna... It's too far actually to put on a screen right now, running in front of us. Far away, I'm gonna keep up with them. Hyena are always behind the big cats, behind the dogs, those type, you know. He's moving, you know, might not actually find him. Moving into the thick.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda. We are making our way slowly towards the 5 sub-adult cheetah that I think most of you will have been viewing for the last couple of days, or in fact the last couple of days they've been unfound, so before that. But yeah, we were a bit worried about them. They went a bit MIA for a few days, and now they've been found, so that is who we are slowly heading towards. See if they're nice and fat, if they've been successfully hunting. We have kind of spread our searches out today. We've been all over. We were looking for leopard, and I'm actually seeing some leopard tracks in the road now, but they're quite old. We had a bit of rain a couple of days ago, and those look like they were imprinted on that wet sand and then dried, so they're quite old. Yeah, but we've got cats on our minds this afternoon. We went out for cheetah, and then we couldn't find them, and then tried for leopard. There are so many tracks here. I just want to have a look. Oh, they're hyena tracks and leopard tracks. Don't know if you can see on the road here. Can you see? So we've got hyena tracks over here. That is a leopard track, and then we've got hyena tracks over there. But we're going to carry on looking for those cheetah.
Alright, I think we've got a gap to go there, but it looks like they... oh yeah, we got them. It's a 3 vehicle there now. So we're probably going to see them right now. Wild dogs, wild dogs, wild dogs, wild dogs. Yeah, finally. go to the dogs. Looks like they're pretty much mobile. Pretty much mobile. There's quite a lot of them here. Yeah, the one with the collar then. I think it's a Pungwe pegs, I think for now. There's the one with a collar. Usually there's one with very much chopped the lip, where you all see the canine. So you're asking what maximum of a prey species they can take down. So we've seen Waterbuck back there, and yeah, those type of antelope will be taken down. Kudus will be also taken down. We're gonna go after them because they're very fast. And then Impalas, just in a maximum of the prey species that will always feed on them. But since there are many of them, we'll probably have to hunt quite often for the Impalas. But yeah, average size of prey, kudus, waterbuck, this type. This is what they can hunt. Easy to disappear, because they're only now getting mobile. Probably it's just all about starting to hunt just the south of Agari Dam at the moment. Again. And Marie, you're right. Since we mentioned the dog yesterday when we saw their tracks or the news that they have crossed into Gari, and this morning we failed to find them due to the probably where they were in the grasses where nobody find them or see them. But it's so cool that they come out. So Anna Marie, you're right. Always good to see the dogs. And I'm also happy as well to show you a dog. And I've been up in the west, that's Aratuza, where they were running around I think the whole entire day. And they came from the east, that Cheetah area, so they have actually make their way big loop around. Look, I'm not sure, but last time I seen them was a 13, 14, somewhere there. That's the capacity of the packs. So they move in and out, so, you know, they're kind of sometimes vulnerable to an big of cats and things like that. So we're just going to check if they're still in the same number when we got a chance of them coming into the open area for us. Well, let's stick with them. Now we saw hyena as well around here. There's a young hyena, in fact. So no chance for that young hyena to be able to approach just like that here. So there's two other vehicles here with me. Sniffing around in there on the ground. Maybe it was just antelope that was there. So David, I'm asking if there's a system here like hyenas where females, and yeah, there is a breeding pair here where these two pair of them, they're most respectable in the packs, and they all members have to respect them or, you know, support them, making sure they're all sustainable so that they can be able to breed and keep the balance of the whole packs over here. See if we can able to get enough close to them. And hyena loves water so much that, not hyena, the wild dog. And the dog that I was just mentioning close to us here, that with a cut lip. So all you see is a canine teeth that is showing up. So indeed it is a Pungwe pegs. I'll probably separate it here. You can only see 6 of them right now. Golden eagles. You're asking if WildEarth can attack a hyena. Yeah, they cooperative animal. And if it's only one hyena, more likely to be pushed off or get beaten off badly sometimes. Although hyena is very strong, but sometimes they just don't mind giving their life to the dangerous animals when they're hungry. But yeah, they always pushes hyenas in a number. They can push leopard up in trees, these guys. I'm gonna go drive forward now again. So we got a hold of them there. So I'm gonna try stick with them if there is not a lot of other vehicles coming in here. In the meantime, I will be sending you across to Lauren.
We did it. It took a lot of battling, but we've got Nzutini, and she is eyeballing the hyena. She just came off a kill. There's a hyena right in front of her. Don't know what it's eating, and she's not happy. This is the second time we've managed to see Nzutini. She's left her kill, and we've been in a bit of a tricky signal area just because of dips and... Look at that. Drainage lines and vegetation. But we did it. We're not going to be able to move much, I'm afraid. So Davi and I are going to have to work with what we've got, but at least we've showed her to you. This is Tiani and Hukamuri's daughter. She's 2 years old. She lives in the west. And sometimes she's a bit too far west for us, if that makes sense. It's not that we don't like the west, but it just pushes out of our signal range. Simbambiri is a really long reserve, narrow but long. There's a hyena. I don't know what she's thinking or what the hyena is eating, but she's not happy to see it, that's for sure. She lost her kill just yesterday to the hyenas. She was stalking it earlier. Hyena, I'm not sure if it sees her or not. It can smell her, I'm sure, but I'm not sure if it can see her moving through the grass towards it. And this is a hyena I don't recognize. I'm going to guess it's from the Elephant Plains clan. She's moving through the grass. Look at that. She's going right towards it. She's a brave little bunny. Nzutini, what are you thinking? I know you don't like them. I know that. She's not yet territorial. She'll have just gone independent from her mom, Tiani. I saw them a good few months ago together. So they're still at the stage where they can't... Oh my goodness, this is getting close. Look at her, what is she doing? Nzutini, you're making me nervous. You're a petite little girl. I don't know why you're stalking this hyena. I've never seen a leopard stalk a hyena like this before. I don't know whether she's just interested in what it's doing. Look at that. Or whether she maybe wants to give it a fright, I'm not sure. This is Davi's first time meeting her. I think he's fallen in love. Look at her. She's in full stock mode. I'm not saying she's going to do anything, but she's following this hyena in full stock mode. Yes, everyone's getting nervous. I am a little bit too. I mean, you all know how much I love hyenas, but one bite from a hyena could be completely devastating to a leopard. And Nzutini's young, she's very small. It's hard to get across the size of an animal through a screen. But she's far smaller than Kalamba. She's young. Only just gone to independence. Only just left mom. Not territorial. What are you doing, girl? I'm not advising this. She also stared down the hyenas the other day. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. She's brave with them, and generally speaking, the hyenas are all too familiar with leopards. They kind of ignore each other. I don't know why she thinks this is a good idea. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to pose perfectly, which means Davy and I don't have to move the vehicle. Perfect. The hyena's back, Davy, look. You see it? I feel like I'm watching Tom and Jerry here, but not a good version. Oh, she sees it, look. The hyena's just walking away. Why? Because she's not got a kill. The hyena doesn't want the leopard, it wants the leopard's food. It knows the leopard kills and makes great meals. It doesn't want her. Can smell her though, and they're drawn to the scent of a leopard because of what leopards can deliver. Okay, my heart rate's going down again. They are about 20 meters apart. Really not far apart. Chantal, I'm glad. She's a very, very new leopard for all. It's Davy's first time. It's only my third time seeing her, second time live. She's absolutely beautiful. We're very lucky that we can traverse Zimbabwe and come over to this side to see her. She wouldn't cross into Djuma. And her name is spelt Ndzutini, the one who likes the shade. It's a beautiful name, Nzutini. And as I mentioned earlier, we actually know 100% her father is Hukamuri from Panthera data. It's been confirmed. It's not a speculation, it's not an if or a but, it's confirmed. And her mother is Tiani. Her natal stomping grounds is Zimbabwe itself. That's where she was born in December 2018. So she's literally just turned 2. She's got a spot pattern of 3-3, if anybody's interested. But I think she looks like her mom. I can really see Tiani. They're very similar. They've got very unique eyes. But I'm glad it's a new leopard for you, Chantal. And just to give you some context, Tiani's her mother and Tiani's father is Tingana. So she's got Tingana blood in her. Tingana's her grandfather. How amazing is that? And it's also confirmed by DNA that Tingana is Tiani's father and her mother was Salexe. So we're looking at Tingana's granddaughter. What do you want? Huh? Can never escape them. Hello, you're a new hyena for me. This hyena also looks young. Looks like a male, I think. Oh, I'm so glad we managed to get there. I was beginning to worry that we couldn't get signal. So I'm so glad that we've managed to find somehow signal. I do not understand how signal works, but we got it. So Nzutini is also related to Kara. They're half-sisters. Sir, 50, absolutely fascinating, right? I think the hyenas wandered off now, but I have never really seen a leopard stalk a hyena to that extent. I've seen them snarl at hyenas, I've seen them chase hyenas off, but not stalk them like that. I'm not fully sure what her intentions were, but she had some intention. So Kara is also a young non-territorial female that is a daughter of Shudulu and Hukumuri. So they're half-sisters through Hukumuri, not through the mothers, through the father. And I would also love to spend some time with Kara. She is not as relaxed as Nzutini. She's a beautiful leopardess, but sometimes on the radio they will call in only 2 vehicles with Kara today. I'm not sure if skittish is the right word, but she does get nervous around vehicles sometimes. I've seen her up trees, I've seen her on kills, and she's relaxed, but sometimes she's just a little bit nervous. So Kara's the next one we'll try and get for you. She's also very young and non-territorial. This is a lounging leopard if I've ever seen one. Oh, spoke too fast. Oh no, don't disappear, my dear. Once she goes in there, we'll probably lose her, everyone. Not entirely sure we'll see her again. Wasn't that lucky? Davy said we wouldn't manage to find signal, but I was right.
You were right.
I was right. I don't actually know what this little pan is, but I can hear the bubbling casinas already. Sun's starting to go down. It's just stunning. Oh, I'm so glad I managed to show you Nzutini, but I think that's her gone into the night. So for now, we're going to send you back across to Andrew.
Alright, so good luck there, Lauren. So we lost the dogs. So the rain from the dam, and they're all scattered all over here trying to see if we can come right on the road. If they ever come back to the road again. Somehow they chased the antelope and I couldn't tell what it was, and then they vanished into tall grasses. So all we were just trying to drive around here if there's a chance that they come back again to the road, or and they look hungry to me. I think that's what pushes them to get something. And otherwise, that hyena was also behind them there, so it's probably trying to see if it would be any remain of leftovers after they have eaten, if they ever kill something. Repeat that question again? So Jerome, so you're asking what diseases do the wild dogs normally get? So they're normally infected by there's type of mange, which is all cats. Sometimes they do in fact get infected by them, and this way sometimes can cause them serious injury or results of die if it's not much of rain that year. It does wash off if it's ever chance of rain because it's a parasite. And then also there's a TB which affect mainly bovine and of course transfer to the cats, which it happens the dog sometimes if they ever eaten in a meat like that, then they do actually also get infected. Oh, so I'm gonna turn around. We got a message that was.
Oh, there's another one there.
All right, we're in quarantine. Ooh. There's one coming in into this area. They're probably lost from one another, you know, at the stage. Whatever they were after. At the moment, it's going to be very difficult to keep up with them, and we're only going to try keep with individual one, and then hopefully it's going to lead us. Oh, there is one coming to your left, Simon. Probably lost direction. Now it's running around back there. So this is all a hunting situation. The all's going to spread around. But if one caught something, then they all communicate. Or you're going to run into that area. Trying to feed all of them. Like Yvonne, so you're asking how often do the wild dogs hunt? So every day they have to hunt the wild dogs. And this is how actually what makes them successful killer. When they normally hunt, they don't only hunt for a small game, but they would go for a big game net. But if they kill Impala, which is big enough, and everybody's gonna be full tummy there, and there won't gonna be much of moving around of them. So I'm gonna try look around here and see it's a lot of vehicle here. We're probably gonna have to make a space a little bit and see if we find something else.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle, and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
What fascinates me most about the animal circle of life is the intricacies between the large and the very, very small. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and find the large. Once you found the large, the cascading effect down to the small absolutely fascinates me. Alertness and situation awareness is by far the #1 aspect for protecting ourselves out on safari.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth. Have you been watching WildEarth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. WildEarth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live WildEarth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, welcome back, and we have finally found these cheetah. It did take us a while. They have put themselves in rather a thick spot. Quite a lot of trees around them, long grass. Yeah, definitely had our work cut out for us, but here they are. All still intact. Oh, something gave them a little bit of a fright there. They're very alert. Sweet, look how the one's got his head rested on his sibling's back. They do need to be very alert because there apparently are 2 lioness lurking about very nearby. So they need to be on high alert. And in terms of cheetah, the spot that they've chosen doesn't best suit that situation. I'm sure most of you will know that cheetah generally are kind of open plains animals, savanna grassland kind of habitat, as opposed to thicket habitat. So their defense is to spot their enemies from far away so that they've got time to get away. They definitely at a disadvantage when they're in thick stuff like this because it gives their enemies the opportunity to sneak up on them, which we do not want and which they do not want, obviously. But that's why I do not know why they've chosen to settle here. The closest open area is actually the floodplain that we were on a little bit. Look at that. Can you see the one's actually biting the sibling's throat? It's practicing its little suffocation. There you go. She's like, okay, stop it now. It's kind of like half licking her lovingly and then just would grab hold of her jugular. Just practicing. Only friendly fire. But yeah, like I was saying, the closest open area is the floodplain, which is quite a trek for them now at this time of night when the light is fading. Goodness, it's a huge flock of hardy-daws making a noise above us. But yeah, and I doubt that they will do that. They're looking quite settled here. Oh, we're going to quickly send you to Lauren. We'll stick with these cheetah for now, though.
You will not believe it. We've got 2 leopards in a tree here. From what I've heard, Shudulu chased Kara up the marula. She chased her up and they're both in this tree. That's definitely not a leopard, but nice try, Davy. We can only see one. It's all very tense here. We left Nsutini after just talking about Shadulu and just... So who's that? Just so you know, the spotlight's not coming from us. But there's 2 leopards in the tree, I believe, Shadulu and Kara. No idea which one I'm looking at right now. This is unbelievable. Just want to wait and see what happens and where the other leopard is. Simbambili is unbelievable this afternoon. Now, for those of you who maybe are not sure, Shadulu is Kara's mom. Kara is Nsutini's half-sister. Hukumuri is Kara's dad. Are we all following? I just can't see where the other leopard is. Can you, Davy? Okay. This is not a relaxed leopard in this tree anyway. It's exhausted, you see. I don't know if we're looking at Shadulu or Kara. I really have no visual, I'm afraid. I don't know. Unbelievable, mother chasing daughter. There's a kill somewhere. I know Shadulu's got a kill. I could possibly... Okay, hold on a second. Okay. Okay, thank you. There's definitely 2 in that tree, everyone. We've just had clarification. The other one is just not visible. So Shadulu and Kara are in this marula tree at the exact same time. Wow. Davy, I got you 3 leopards. Okay, we're just going to stay here. The other vehicles are moving, but I don't want to miss anything. I can't believe we've got 2 female leopards in the tree. And, of course, trust it to be the time where we're losing light. Jacob, is not easy. I've still not figured out what's going on here. We got called on the radio. Lauren, come. Crazy things are happening on Simbambili Open. And I know there's 2 leopards in the tree. And I know it's Shadulu and Kara. But right now, I actually don't know who I'm looking at. It looks like Shadulu. That's Shadulu. That's the mom. I'm sure that's Shadulu. And Kara was actually born in the same time as Nsutini, so she's also 2. So she'll be reaching independence. So the mother and daughter relationship will not be sort of as tender anymore. And I think that's what's happening here. And how do I know what leopard I'm looking at? The ones we see all the time, you just immediately recognize. Immediately. But new leopards, normally from them being called in, and you've got to learn them. You've got to learn their spot pattern, their facial features, their... Do you think we should try and go around and see Kara? Let's try. I don't quite know if we're going to manage this, but, let's try. It's been a whirlwind of a moment. So there's 1 leopard. We'll actually get really nice views of Kara from this side. I mean, Shadulu, look at me getting confused already. I wish we weren't losing light. Of course, we do have infrared, but I still don't see a second leopard. But I do see the other vehicle shining a spotlight quite high. So I think the other leopard's very, very high up in the tree. I love the way they describe the Sabi sand. You kick a marula tree and a leopard falls out. And sometimes it really feels like that. We have been incredibly lucky this afternoon. No, they don't. They don't compete for territories, not at all. Males set up territories to encompass different females. And that's their main priority. We've got a hyena incoming, that's what she's looking at. There you go. I wonder if it's the same one. I don't think so. Males set up large territories so that females' territories will reside within it, and females it's a different hyena, set up much smaller territories for resources for their offspring. Sorry, there's just a lot happening here right now. They need good access to water, good food, in order to get ready for lactation. This really doesn't look like Shadulu. I think it's just because she's panting and there's a spotlight, but it actually really doesn't look like Shadulu. She looks different. So male and female territories overlap, and that's how they have access to one another. They're not competing. Male's main priority is to mate with as many females as he can so that he can sort of continue his bloodline. The more surviving offspring, the better. And for a female, she wants to raise her offspring to success. She needs to sort of be strong enough to be pregnant, lactation, rearing. So they don't compete for territory. I still haven't quite got to the bottom of the story. I'll obviously try, but someone chased someone up a tree, and there's definitely a kill involved. There's a bamba somewhere. Nikanova, I'm not sure at this stage. It's very possible Shadulu will just let Kara have it. Blood. Oh, blood. I wonder if they had an altercation. I will try and get the story for you. But I think at Kara being 2 years old, she's pushed to independence now. I don't think they would share. I really don't. I could be wrong. I've not seen Kara interact with Shadulu in a long time, but she is 2 years old now, and they reach independence about 18 months. And mother will not be pleased to see them. And that's just a normal reaction. Tandy was the same with Tlalamba. She's scent marking. Are you sulking, my dear? So Cara must still be up in this tree then. Isn't it amazing? Once the tree's got all its foliage, you can't see the leopard. But of course we will sit tight here in case she decides to come down. A mother-daughter interaction, how fascinating. Okay, Shadulu's leaving, but I'm going to try and see if we can get any view of Cara for you. And for now, we're going to send you across to Phinda with their cheetah.
Goodness, sounds like there's been some epic stuff going on there at Djuma. Yeah, like I said, or was saying, can't really remember, before we had to cut away to all that excitement, but yeah, we found these cheetah. Oh yes, I was talking about the lions that were nearby and how far they would need to move to get to an open area that would suit their situation a bit better. But also you can see that they're all pretty chilled. There's definitely no way that they're going to be making that trek this evening. I think that this is where they've decided that they're going to stay for the night. I'm not entirely sure if they are aware that there are lions nearby. They are quite alert. I mean, one of them seemed to kind of have the hiccups or something, and earlier made like a really strange kind of gagging, gurgling noise, and 3 of them absolutely almost jumped out of their skins. It's quite funny to witness, but it does just show that they are like ready for action, to jump into action at the merest unfamiliar or unfavorable sound. I think those lions moved. They were on the move, and they were on the move away from this little group, so let's hope that they carried on in that direction. Yeah, I mean, I suppose if those lions did come into this area and the sub-adults or these cheetah scattered, they have got a good chance of kind of hiding themselves in all the bushes around them. Where's that one off to? You can see it standing up. They're still so small. Yeah, Murray and I also very, very, very much hope that these cheetah are going to be safe for the night. I think that we will have to come and check up on them in the morning and see if they've stayed safe. They do look like they're starting to get a little bit active, all rolling around. But yeah, I really hope that they do stay safe. I'll be desperately unhappy if we get here tomorrow and something horrible has happened. We will stick with them because, like I said, they do look like they're going to, or they're just moving around a little bit more. But for now, I think we'll send you back to Djuma with that leopard, or those leopards rather.
We got Cara. I know the story. I spoke to a vehicle. So it was Shadulu's kill. Cara came to try and steal it, and apparently their encounter was incredibly aggressive. There was fighting. Shadulu's bleeding, and it was from the fight. So there's the answer to all your question. We stayed in colour because there was... Shall I move round, Javi? Are you happy with me here?
Yeah, now we can go to infrared.
I'm just trying to think. Oh no, our face is here. So we're going to go to infrared now, everyone. 1, 2, 3, boom. And yes, very aggressive. I can't believe it. They were both in that tree. Obviously, Shadulu's climbed down and walked away. But that's your mama. So we've had Shadulu, Kara and Zutini all on one drive in Simbambili. All connected in different ways. Kara's beautiful. So beautiful. And she's obviously just completely stolen her mother's kill. It's not possibly the best idea. But I think everyone here's taken videos of the sighting, so I would imagine you're going to be able to see a video of the fight on social media at some point. Just a guess, but I think you will. Okay, I think we're going to go round, so we're not just looking at the wrong side of her. Bear with me. Ravi, you may have to guide me here. I now can't see anything. Hold on. I've got her. Can you get it from here, Davi? There we go. It's a little bit of a better position. Marginally so. No, actually, everyone, this is terrible. You don't have to entertain me. This is terrible. Should we try and go around? Oh, okay. Oh, she looks sad. Stan, I know. From a human perspective, it's rather sad, isn't it? I don't think it's the end of a relationship. It's just as a mother of a solitary predator species, she has to ensure that her daughter is ready for the wild. She has to ensure. I remember the days watching Tandy snarl and be aggressive at Tlalamba, and I thought, oh, but she has to. She has to make sure her daughter doesn't need anything from her. Her daughter is completely independent. She gives her a section of her territory, saying, that's you, girl. That's for you. On you go. You big queen. You take this, and you become territorial. The daughter can't rely on the mother for anything. They're solitary animals, and the mothers do a fantastic job of raising them to a certain point, and then it's time. And if the mother wasn't aggressive, they would never learn. That's how they learn. They learn through watching their mother. The mother is being aggressive. The mother is snarling, saying, go now, no. You need to hunt for yourself. But in human terms, it's sad. I completely agree with you, Stan. That Kara's gorgeous. She also looks young. You can see that. Immediately you can see Shadulu looked much older. She's a bigger leopardess. She's got lots of notches in her ears. She's got scars. But you can see that Kara's younger, just like in Zutini. We may not be able to stay completely to the end. I think it's going to become quite a busy sighting. But we'll do our very, very best. It is hard. Our mothers obviously raise us, and humans have such a tight bond with their mothers, but with leopards it's hard. It's hard when they reach that point, because it's so tender before that. When they reach that point where the mother has to say, it's time to go now, you're getting too big, you're becoming a competitor for me. But it benefits a female leopard to border territories with relatives. It benefits Tandy to have a territorial border with Tlalamba and Kuchava rather than Shadulu. It benefits to... Oh, I didn't realize Shadulu was there. Everyone, my brain is officially fried. Shadulu hasn't left. I told you all a lie. She's here. She's watching, and that's what Kara's watching. They're both staring at each other. Kara's looking down, Shadulu's looking up. So yes, it benefits Tandy to border her 2 offspring. And yeah. Okay, so apparently our infrared is not working, everyone. Can you believe it? Which is not ideal, I'm afraid, and we will not shine spotlight, that's for sure. Maybe we can take a look at Shadulu. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. We're going to see if we can figure out what's going on with this IR light and hopefully stay in this sighting a little bit longer.
Welcome back. It looks like our infrared is also not working at the moment. We're just trying to sort it out. And the cheetah are starting to move. I don't know if they're just moving to a new spot or if they're actually getting on the move. Okay. I'm just going to turn around so that we can keep an eye on them. I don't want to miss out on them, and also I feel like in this light it's going to be quite easy to lose them. While we try and just find these 5 cheetah, we'll send you over to Andrew.
So now we have left the dogs, and then they just move west of quarantine there, and then I decided, or everybody decided to leave them because they were going into the thick stuff. And then we're now checking Gary Galago Pen here, hoping for Tingana at least. Might maybe thirsty, coming to drink, because he was left not far from this area this morning. And now it's quite a lot of water along the stream river, where you might sometimes drink and take it easy again. Also, you want to know how do WildEarth communicate. So they make sound. Apart from the chemical communication, which is defecations and all that, and they can make sound. Few different sounds they can make, and all of this sound can sometimes mean that they have to get it together immediately. There's something somebody has to respond to, they kill, or just to wanted to know where the others are. So there is an emergency call, there is just the normal communication they do. So sound communication is when they're far from apart from one another. Also smelling on the ground, able to know where their partner have moved through by picking up the scent. And our final hook up chick together again. Dave was asking if there is only the alpha male and alpha female breed. So it can sometimes happen the other one breeds slightly, but you know, often it's all these alpha pair always breed, always. So alpha male and alpha female, they're the one that everyone in a group, in a clan have to rely on them. So these are the one that sustained the whole packs. When a female gives birth to about sometimes to up to 16, 10, 16 maybe, and all successful raising them up. A lot of time they die due to the lot of causes that happen during the age of young. These young ones, when they're born, they rely on their mother just to able to give them meat. Once they're out of the den, they rely on meat and milk at the same time, where the parent has to go feed and a whole member. Since they're corporate hunter or feed, when they come back, every member would be able to regurgitate for the young one to eat. And they were able to keep amount of food standing by for a later feeding. Faisal, so you want to know what is my favorite nocturnal animal? Leopard is my favorite, since they are not only at night, but you know, they're so cool that they hunt silently and all of that at night. They have a lot of opportunity. They don't like sharing their meat. That if it ever happened, then it's a lot of argument. They're growling at each other. So they don't like sharing a lot of time. Once young one comes independent, it already know how to hunt, able to kill itself. Nothing at the pen there, so he's probably wherever he is, still down, or had a lot of move last night. But I'm still around here checking to see if we bump on him.
What a drive. We're finally leaving Simbambili and we've bumped into this little guy on the road. I don't want to hurt you. I think it's a sand frog. I could be wrong. It's very difficult to tell in the dark. But you can hear the bubbling casinas, you can hear all the croaks, all the vocalizations, the wonderful sounds that frogs make. Because, of course, their breeding is summer. They need to advertise. The males will have a delightful sing-off. It sounds a bit like that when you're listening to it. And they're trying to compete. Who's the loudest? But you also get the satellite frogs, and those are the males that remain completely silent because they know they can't croak as loud and they're not as big and dominant. So they stay silent, and they can hear where the dominant males are. So in the dark, they go a little bit closer to the dominant males, but still remain silent. And as soon as a female starts to approach the dominant male because she's attracted to his croaking, the satellite male will just swoop in and steal her and start mating with her. Isn't that incredible? So they know that the females are not going to come to them. They're not as big, not as dominant, not as loud. So what technique can they use to get the females? And that's to stay on the periphery, just like a satellite, move round and round the dominant males and swoop in when you can to steal the females and woo them with your wonderful frog charm. It doesn't sound anything like what I just did. Unbelievable animals. One of the noisiest animals in the bush for such small little creatures. So I'm going to hopefully try and navigate around this little guy and head back towards Djuma.
Alright, so we still checking here, shining around. There's no sign of anything coming out. And I believe then that Tingana, he probably, or maybe have moved a different way than we don't know where he's gone to. Because the guys have visited the last spot where they left him early this morning. So he was not there. Or they can hunt also during the day though. Maybe he's on a kill where I really want him to actually kill to feed, because then this morning I was slightly hungry. Jerry, so yes, you're asking if we do have a dangerous animal coming to camp. One thing for sure, in camp, we have a lot of a presence of hyena coming in and out. Leopard do come in, so where we stay, it's the leopard's territory. And Tingana also is moving around in and out in that area. Dulu also, she comes in across between where we stay. So yes, at night there's a presence of, bumping on nocturnal animals. There's a leopard cat or hyena. Not even a single antelope around here. Probably they were scared of the dogs. They all ran. Just so quiet. But leopard they scavenge. If they ever heard a dog distress, making sound like there's something that they killed, he's gonna respond to that immediately, trying to scavenge from them. So everybody, we're now unfortunately coming in the end of the afternoon or evening show. So we're all hoping to meet you all bright and early tomorrow, 5:30 African Central Time, And from us, until then, we'll see you all bright and early tomorrow. Goodbye.
And may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve.